Behind the wall of falling water, KAEL did not find the end of the journey. He found another world breathing beneath the earth. The tunnel behind the cave stretched into darkness. Ancient roots clung to the wet stone walls like the dry veins of the mountain. Beneath their feet, pale blue underground water moved quietly through the cracks, carrying a light that did not come from the sun. Every step echoed through the mountain. Every drop of water sounded like time counting itself from a place that had been buried for far too long. KAEL STONEFANG moved first, his stone spear in hand, his cold eyes studying every wall, every shadow, every small sound in the dark. Behind him, Asha walked close, her hand never far from her bow, the red markings on her face fading in the strange blue glow of the water. Then the tunnel opened. Before them stood a massive underground cavern. At its center was a glowing blue lake. Around it, natural stone columns rose like the pillars of an ancient temple. Along the cavern walls, enormous fossil bones rested half buried in the rock, silent remains of creatures that had ruled the world before human memory had even begun. Inside the mountain, water did not simply flow. It held the memory of things that had disappeared from the world above. KAEL stopped at the edge of the underground lake. The blue light reflected across his tired face, across the dust, the water, and the thin scar running from his left cheek down to his chin. He tightened his grip on the spear and stared into the still surface, as if looking into a mirror with no bottom. Then he whispered, "We did not find shelter, we found the heart of the lake." The blue water trembled. A massive shadow moved beneath it. It was larger than anything they had seen underwater. No one could make out its full shape. There was only a vast darkness passing through the blue glow, slow and silent, making the entire cavern seem to hold its breath. And that heart was not asleep. Asha stood beside KAEL. She lowered her bow a little, but her fingers stayed tight on the string. She did not look at the thing beneath the lake for too long. Instead, she looked at the cavern wall. There, beneath a layer of wet green moss, were ancient carvings. Asha knew this was not an empty cave. It had once been a place where the ancient ones came to pray, or to warn. A small group from the Red Valley tribe entered the cavern behind KAEL and Asha. The weak torches in their hands almost disappeared in the glow of the lake. Elders were helped forward, children stayed protected in the middle. Warriors held their spears in a tight line, caught between wonder and fear. The Red Valley tribe had run from fire to find water. But now, the water was looking back at them. The boy from the tribe stepped toward a flat stone near the lake. Carefully, he placed the little wooden triceratops on it. The small figure began to tremble with the pulse of the water below, as if it could hear the heart of the lake too. A small gift, placed before a secret larger than any story he had ever heard by firelight. KAEL watched the surface. The rhythm was familiar. It sounded like the drum pattern carved into the walls above. Not random noise, not anger, a steady, deep, living pulse. KAEL understood. The thing beneath the lake did not only hear sound. It heard the rhythm of life. But above them, disaster had not gone away. In the cave behind the waterfall, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling onto the old handprints on the wall. The tribe looked up in fear. Beyond the curtain of falling water, the low roar of the mountain bearer still moved through the stone. The mountain bearer could not cross the wall of water, so it began looking for another door. Outside, far from the waterfall, the giant creature moved along the dry cliffside. Its black spines were covered in ash. Its claws scraped the stone as it searched every crack, every narrow opening, every breath of warm air escaping from inside the mountain. It feared deep water, but it did not fear dry stone. And where there was no deep water, its fear disappeared. Inside the underground cavern, Asha brushed moss from the wall. KAEL brought the torch closer. Ancient pictures slowly appeared. Every mark inside the mountain felt like a voice buried for too long. The carvings showed a great lake above, a smaller lake below, and lines of water running between them like veins. Sun Eye Lake was more than the surface they had seen. Beneath it was a heart, and the rivers were the veins of the land. The Red Valley chief studied the carvings. His old face carried both awe and grief. He recognized symbols like the ancient signs of his own people. Red Valley had not been the first tribe to follow the water signs. They were only the next people to survive long enough to reach them. The tribe moved carefully along the edge of the cavern, keeping a safe distance from the glowing lake. In the prehistoric world, safety did not mean there was no danger. Safety only meant standing one step farther away from what could swallow you. KAEL stepped close to the water. He lowered the end of his spear and tapped it gently against the stone. The sound traveled through the cavern. The blue lake answered with a small ripple. KAEL tried to speak to the lake in the only way he knew. Rhythm, stone, and silence. A thin ring of blue light spread from the center of the lake, reached the shore near KAEL's feet, and faded away. The thing beneath the water did not attack. It answered. Asha kept studying the cave wall. She found a row of ancient handprints on a lower stone surface. Each handprint was placed at a different height, almost like a drum pattern recorded by human hands. The ancient ones had not only drawn the creature, they had recorded how to call it. Asha placed her hand on each print in order. Each touch sent a soft echo through the cavern. Not with words, not with screams, but with the rhythm of hands on stone. The blue lake began to glow more brightly. The stone pillars around it reflected the light like giant bones. The lake listened, and the cave began to answer. The boy looked at the ancient handprints, then at his own hand. He placed his palm beside a smaller mark on the wall. Some small hands do not change the world, but they remind the grown ones why the world is still worth protecting. KAEL looked at the boy. Then he looked back at the lake. He realized that the ancient people had brought children here too. This place had not only been built for fighting disaster, it had once been a refuge, a place that protected life. But the heart of the lake had more than one path. On another carving, Asha found 3 water routes. One led upward to Sun Eye Lake. One led deeper into the mountain. The last led toward a place drawn as a forest of white roots. Asha stared at the symbol of the white root forest, and worry crossed her face. There was another way out beneath the mountain. And if humans could find it, so could disaster. Above them, outside the rock wall, the mountain bearer stopped before a dry crack in the cliff. Warm air drifted from inside. The giant lowered its head, breathed in, and scraped the stone with its claws. Dust and pebbles fell into the darkness. The wall of water had stopped the mountain bearer. But every mountain has cracks the water has not reached. Inside the cavern, KAEL heard the distant sound of stone falling. He turned at once toward a dark side tunnel on the left. Others heard only the water. KAEL heard the sound of a door being opened. Asha pressed her ear against the stone wall. She felt the vibration travel through the cold rock, then pointed toward the dry tunnel marked on the carving. She did not need to see the monster. She only needed to hear the path it had chosen. Now they faced 2 choices. To the right was the glowing lake, the secret of the water. To the left was the dry tunnel. The door disaster was opening. KAEL looked back at the tribe. Then he looked into the dark passage. He understood that if the mountain bearer entered this place, the water would no longer be a wall. He said, "If it gets in here, the water will not be a wall anymore." The chief immediately signaled for the elders and children to move deeper into the safe chamber, away from both the lake and the dry tunnel. This time, they were not running from shelter. They were learning how to protect it. Asha gathered leather cords, sharp stones, dry branches, and torches. She began building a vibration trap inside the dry tunnel. Not every trap has to kill. Some traps only need to make disaster take one wrong step. KAEL placed his hand against the stone wall. He felt the mountain's vibration and searched for the weakest point in the tunnel. KAEL had once read footprints in mud. Now he had to read the breathing of stone. The dry tunnel was narrow and dark. Cracked rock covered the walls. Ancient roots pushed through the ceiling. Ash lay thick across the floor. Torchlight stretched long shadows through the passage, making the rocks look alive. This was not a path of life. It was a wound in the mountain. On the tunnel wall, A faded carving showed ancient people stacking stones to seal this same passage. The ancient ones had feared this door too. KAEL and Asha looked at each other. Both understood what had to be done. To protect the shelter, they had to do the most dangerous thing of all. They had to break part of it. Outside the crack, the mountain bearer forced its head and front limbs into the opening. Its spines scraped against the rock. The whole tunnel shook. Broken stone fell into the dark. It had found the door. KAEL gripped his spear and stood in the tunnel's shadow. Firelight reflected in his cold eyes. And this time, KAEL could not run to pull it away. He had to hold the door. KAEL ran through the dry tunnel. Asha moved behind him, placing bundles of cord and stone into the cracks. Inside the mountain, a chase did not need open ground. It only needed a narrow path and one mistake. Asha tied leather cords around a fractured stone pillar, connecting them to small hanging rocks. She was not trying to destroy the monster. She was trying to make the mountain speak for them. In the main cavern, Red Valley warriors beat stone drums to create echoes and mislead the creature. The tribe had learned the lesson of the lake. Vibration could guide life. And it could guide disaster. KAEL stood in the center of the tunnel. He struck the stone floor with his spear. The sound moved through the rock, straight toward the mountain bearer. KAEL said, "Listen." The ground shook. Dust fell. The cords Asha tied began to tighten. It was not KAEL's strength shaking the mountain. It was the rage of the thing trying to break in. A hanging stone dropped and struck a row of smaller rocks. The chain of impacts echoed through the tunnel. One falling stone could not stop disaster. But it could wake the wall. The trap began to move through the cracked stone. Pieces of the ceiling groaned. But nothing fell yet. KAEL and Asha stepped back at exactly the right moment. The trap had begun. But the mountain had not chosen a side. Asha saw that it was not enough. Her eyes lifted toward a larger stone mass above the tunnel roof. Sometimes one more beat is all that separates fear from escape. KAEL understood. He ran closer to the entrance. Closer to danger, where the mountain bearer's roar was almost on top of him. Once again, KAEL stepped toward the place everyone else had to leave behind. He slammed the end of his spear into a hollow point in the rock. Heavy beats rolled into the mountain. Here, the mountain bearer raged and struck the crack with all its strength. Exactly where the stone was weakest. Disaster did not know whether it was breaking its way in, or sealing itself out. Then a massive stone tore loose from the tunnel roof. It fell with a sound like thunder inside the mountain. Rock crashed down and blocked part of the crack. At last, the mountain answered. KAEL and Asha were covered in dust. But they were still standing. No one wins against a mountain. They only survive the moment it moves. Outside, the mountain bearer roared in fury at the partly blocked crack. It could not enter. But it was still there. The door had narrowed. But disaster had not gone away. KAEL looked at the blocked tunnel, then turned back toward the glowing blue lake behind him. And when one door closed, the heart of the lake opened deeper. After the rockfall, the lake glowed brighter. Rings of blue light spread across the surface like a heartbeat. The mountain's tremor had awakened what lived beneath the water in a way no one had planned. The carved water lines on the wall reflected the blue glow, as if the ancient map had come alive. Those lines were not only a map. They were the memory of water. The boy saw the wooden triceratops trembling on the stone. He looked at KAEL with worried eyes. A child often sees the impossible before adults can explain it. KAEL placed his hand on the stone and felt the rhythm from the lake. It was not a threat. It felt like a call. The enormous shadow beneath the water moved close to the shore and stopped. It did not attack. The thing beneath the lake could have crushed them if it wanted to. Instead, it came close and waited. Asha looked at the ancient handprints on the wall, then signaled for the people to stand in a crescent shape, just like the carving. She understood that the ancient ones had not stood here to fight. They had stood here to be heard. The Red Valley tribe formed a crescent around the glowing underground lake. Keeping a safe distance from the water, each person held a small torch. For the first time since leaving their homeland, They did not run, hide, or fight. They stood still before something greater than themselves. Living hands touched the marks of hands long gone. The tribe placed their palms on the ancient handprints and followed the slow rhythm carved into the wall. The sound of hands on stone spread through the cavern and joined the pulse beneath the lake. The surface of the water glowed in blue circles. Light reflected onto the cavern ceiling until the inside of the mountain looked like a sky beneath the earth. The chief closed his eyes and placed his hand on the sun symbol. He did not ask for victory. He only asked that his people live to see one more dawn. KAEL stood at the closest safe point to the lake. This time, his spear was lowered. He did not attack. He did not command. He only stood there, calm and respectful. KAEL understood that some powers could not be forced. They could only be respected. The enormous creature rose closer beneath the surface. No one saw its full body. Only the curve of a back as large as a ridge, a faint glow where its eyes might be, and a breath that made the water tremble. The heart of the lake did not rise like a monster. It rose like a mountain breathing underwater. Then it formed a gentle current, pointing toward another water tunnel, deeper, wider, and darker. It did not speak, but the water showed the way. Asha recognized the current at once. It matched the carving of the white root forest. The escape inside the stone did not lead back to the surface. It led to the white root forest. KAEL looked toward the deep water path. Far behind them, the roar of the mountain bearer still traveled through the rock. He knew the tribe could not stay here for long. If the mountain keeps shaking, he said, it will find another way. The heart of the lake had not held them there. It was leading them onward. The tribe began to prepare. They tied their belongings onto small wooden rafts and used leather ropes to connect each group before entering the shallow waterway. Not every migration moves across land. Some journeys begin when humans dare to trust the water. KAEL went first, testing the depth with his spear. Asha guided the middle of the group, her eyes reading every mark on the stone. KAEL read the water. Asha read the mountain. Between them, the tribe found a thin thread forward. The blue current moved through cracks in the stone, carrying dim light like fireflies beneath the water. Underground, light did not come from the sun. It came from things that had lived too long to need the sky. The tribe moved through a wide water tunnel. On both sides, white roots pierced the rock from above. They glowed softly, like fingers of a forest that had never seen daylight. The boy looked up at the glowing roots. For a few seconds, he forgot to be afraid. The wooden triceratops in his hand reflected the blue light. Even inside the mountain, a child could still find wonder stronger than fear. The chief watched his people move through the waterway. His face no longer looked as hopeless. He did not know where the path would lead. But for the first time, it did not feel like running. Behind them, a new crack appeared in the stone wall. Dust fell into the water. Far away, the mountain bearer's roar echoed through the rock. Disaster was still learning the language of the mountain. The dry tunnel they had blocked began to tremble again. A small part of the stone shifted, letting in a thin line of outside light. The door they had closed was not a wall forever. It was only borrowed time. KAEL heard the stones behind them. He signaled for the tribe to move faster, but he did not let panic spread. A guide does not only know when to run. He must know how to keep others from breaking apart in fear. Asha noticed a small warning carving on the stone. It showed rising water. The white root forest was not waiting still. It had a rhythm of its own. The water inside the tunnel began to rise. The rafts moved faster. Everyone held tight to the ropes. The water had shown them the way. Now it began to push them forward. A torch slipped from someone's hand and fell into the water. The flame went out. But the darkness did not return. The blue glow from the roots and the underground current still lit the path. When the fire went out, they realized this darkness had never truly been dark. Ahead, a blue-white light began to widen. KAEL saw it. But his eyes stayed cautious. He had learned that in this world, light did not always mean safety. The water tunnel opened. Before them was another massive cavern. Inside it stood the white root forest. Giant glowing roots descended from the ceiling to the ground like the spine of the mountain. White mist floated between them. Underground streams moved through glowing mud and pale stone. They had stepped out of the heart of the lake and into a forest that had never known the sky. The Red Valley tribe stood in silence. There was no sun here, and yet life grew as if it had never needed one. Asha touched a white root. Tiny vibrations moved through it like a pulse. She realized these roots were not only drinking water. They were listening to the whole mountain. KAEL scanned the underground forest. Then he stopped. In the glowing white mud, there was a massive footprint. It was not the mountain bearers. It was not like anything they had seen before. If there were footprints here, then they were not the first to walk through this darkness. And that footprint did not belong to the disaster chasing them. From the middle of the white root forest, a tall shadow stood perfectly still in the blue light. Its body was hidden by mist and roots. Only its eyes reflected in the dark. KAEL raised his spear. Asha lifted her bow. The tribe stepped back behind them. For one moment, even the water seemed to stop. KAEL stared into the darkness and said, "Beneath this earth, there is more than one living heart." The white-blue glow swallowed the forest. Behind them, the distant roar of the mountain bearer traveled through the mountain. Ahead of them, the unknown figure opened its eyes. The journey beneath the earth had only just begun.